close your eyes for a second and imagine a place where time doesn't move in years, but in thousands of years. A place where stories are older than most civilizations, where languages carry echoes of the past, where every city, every river, every tradition feels like it has lived many lives. This is India, a land that has been conquered, ruled, divided over and over again. And yet, it never disappeared. Most civilizations rise and fall, but this one changed, adapted, survived, almost as if it refused to die. Welcome to Histofy, where we don't just tell history, we uncover the stories hidden inside it. If you enjoy this kind of storytelling, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Histofy, and drop a comment below. It truly helps this channel grow. Because today, we are not just exploring a country, we are uncovering a civilization that survived everything. India is not just a country. It is something far older, far deeper, something that has outlived almost everything that tried to replace it. For thousands of years, this land has been invaded, ruled, divided, and reshaped again and again. Empires arrived with ambition and power, believing they would define its future. Some came to conquer, some to rule, and some to take everything they could. And for a moment, it always felt like the end. But it never was. Because somehow, this civilization didn't disappear. It didn't collapse the way others did. Instead, it absorbed, adapted, and continued, changing its form but never losing its essence. Even after centuries of colonization, even after being drained of its wealth and identity, it still stands today. Not as something broken, but as something rising again. So the question is, how does a civilization survive everything that should have destroyed it? To understand that, we have to go back to where it all began. Long before the great empires of the West, before Rome, before Greece, there was something quietly thriving in the Indian subcontinent. The Indus Valley civilization. At first glance, it doesn't seem dramatic. There are no grand palaces towering over the land, no giant statues celebrating kings, no clear signs of rulers demanding attention. But look closer, and you begin to notice something extraordinary. These cities were planned, not randomly built, but carefully designed with precision. Streets followed grids, houses were structured with purpose. There were drainage systems running beneath the ground, systems so advanced that even today they feel surprisingly modern. This was not a primitive society trying to survive. This was a civilization that understood order. People traded with distant regions, connecting with cultures far beyond their own land. They created systems that worked quietly, efficiently, almost as if the goal was balance rather than dominance. And then it disappeared. No dramatic war, no clear destruction, no final moment of collapse. Just silence. Cities abandoned, structures left behind. A civilization that seemed too advanced for its time, gone without a clear explanation. And that mystery still lingers. What happened to them? We don't fully know, but what we do know is this: India's story didn't end here. In many ways, it was just beginning. After the silence of the Indus Valley, something different emerged. Not just another civilization built on structures and cities, but one built on ideas. This was the Vedic age, and it marked a shift from physical systems to intellectual exploration. Instead of focusing only on building cities, people began asking deeper questions about existence itself. The Vedas were composed during this time not as simple text, but as collections of knowledge, thought, and reflection. They didn't just describe the world, they tried to understand it. Questions about life, consciousness, and the universe began to take shape. Who are we? Why do we exist? What is reality? These weren't easy questions, and they didn't have simple answers. But that didn't stop the exploration. Sanskrit evolved as a language capable of expressing incredibly complex ideas with clarity and precision. Philosophy became a way of life, not just a subject of study. India, at this point, was not just developing as a region, it was shaping how people think. Ideas that would later influence entire cultures and belief systems began here, quietly forming, spreading, evolving. But history never stays in one state for long, because soon power entered the picture. For the first time, the Indian subcontinent saw something close to unity. The Mauryan Empire. Under Chandragupta Maurya, a large part of India was brought together under a single rule. This wasn't just expansion, it was organization, control, structure at a scale never seen before in this region. And for a moment, it seemed like stability had arrived. But it was under Ashoka that the story took an unexpected turn. At the height of his power, Ashoka waged the Kalinga War, a conflict that was brutal, devastating, and deeply destructive. Thousands died, the land was left scared by violence. And standing in the aftermath of that destruction, Ashoka saw something that changed him. Victory was no longer felt like victory. It felt like loss. What followed was something rare in history, a ruler who chose to change. Ashoka turned away from conquest and embraced a different path, one focused on peace, compassion, and moral responsibility. He began promoting ideas that went beyond power, spreading messages of non-violence and ethical living. For perhaps the first time, power was not just about control, but about conscience. After the Mauryan Empire, another era emerged, one defined not by conquest, but by knowledge. The Gupta age is often described as a golden age, and not without reason. This was a time when science, mathematics, medicine, and astronomy flourished. But what made it truly remarkable wasn't just the discoveries themselves. It was how deeply they changed the way humans understood the world. The concept of zero emerged during this period, and it's easy to underestimate that. But without zero, modern mathematics wouldn't exist. Technology wouldn't exist in the form we know today. Entire systems of calculation would collapse. It was a simple idea with infinite impact. Scholars studied the stars, mapped movements of planets, explored the human body, and developed methods of healing that were far ahead of their time. India wasn't just participating in global knowledge, it was leading it. But history has a way of testing even the strongest systems. And that test came in the form of invasions. Over centuries, waves of invaders entered the Indian subcontinent. Some came for wealth, some for power, some to establish control. Each invasion brought change, sometimes destruction, sometimes transformation. Temples were damaged, cities were rebuilt, systems were disrupted, and yet India did not disappear. Instead of collapsing under pressure, it did something unusual. It absorbed, languages mixed, cultures blended, traditions evolved. This wasn't just survival, it was adaptation at a civilizational level. India didn't remain the same, but it didn't lose itself either. With time, new systems of governance took shape. The Delhi Sultanate introduced new political structures and cultural influences. And then came the Mughal Empire, which would go on to define an entire era. Under rulers like Akbar, governance became more inclusive, attempting to balance diversity within the empire. Under Shah Jahan, architecture reached new heights, leaving behind structures that still stand as symbols of beauty and craftsmanship. This was a time of cultural fusion. Art, language, food, architecture all began to reflect a blending of influences. It wasn't just about rule, it was about legacy. But like every empire before it, this too would face decline. And something else was already on the horizon. The British didn't arrive as conquerors, they arrived as traders. The East India Company slowly established its presence, first through trade, then through influence, and eventually through control. It wasn't sudden, it was gradual, almost invisible at first, but over time, power shifted. India's resources were extracted, its industries weakened, its economy reshaped to serve foreign interests. Famines spread, communities suffered. This wasn't just governance, it was exploitation on a massive scale. But something changed. Not from kings, not from armies, from people. Ordinary individuals began to resist. And at the center of this movement was a different kind of leader, Mahatma Gandhi. He didn't fight with weapons, he fought with refusal. Refusal to obey unjust systems, refusal to accept control. And slowly, millions joined him. What began as resistance became a movement. In 1947, India became independent, but freedom came at a cost. Partition divided the land, families were separated, lives were disrupted. It was a moment of victory and pain, both existing together. From that point forward, India began rebuilding, slowly, steadily. Its economy grew, its influence expanded, its identity evolved. Today, it stands as one of the world's most significant nations. Not because it was never broken, but because it never stopped rebuilding. India is not just a place on a map, it is continuity. A civilization that has changed from countless times, yet never truly disappeared. Empires came and went, systems rose and fell, but this remained because India was never built in a moment. It survived across millennia. India was never just about kings, or wars, or empires. It was always about something deeper. A continuity that refused to break, an identity that refused to disappear. Through invasions, through colonization, through division. It didn't just survive, it evolved. And maybe that's the real story, not of power, but of persistence. So the next time you think of India, don't just see a country, see a civilization that learned how to endure time itself. If this story changed the way you see history, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Historify, and share it with someone who should experience this journey. And drop a comment below. Do you think any other civilization has survived like this? Your support might seem small, but it helps keep stories like this alive. I'll see you in the next story.